Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in.
Let me begin this podcast by just laying out the groundwork of what we're dealing with. So right now, we are doing our first ever remote podcast episode. This has taken 30 years off my life. I'm probably, if I expire tomorrow, it won't shock me at this point because we are trying to figure out the tech element of all of this. We haven't done a remote episode. On top of that, I got a flight later tonight, and with that, we need a little tequila. So, Bridget, first off, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Second, Anna, welcome to the podcast via remote episode this time. There we go. How we doing?
Thank you so much. I love that you said that you were going to expire, like as if you're just milk or a yogurt or something. That was hilarious. I wish I could take a shot with you guys, but I'm there in spirit.
There we go. Well, hey, let's take this real quick. Cheers. Cheers.
Throw them back.
Cheers.
That might make me perish faster. That was tough.
Was it the Casamigos?
Yeah.
Casamigos goes down real smooth, I will say.
I just brushed my teeth, so that was pretty atrocious.
Oh, stinging. I like that you brush your teeth for like a virtual thing where I won't even be able to know.
I also put in my retainer for a quick sec before just to make sure everything was
just
all
nice
good.
and aligned. Yeah. I'll do that before I have any like sort of Skype thing. I'll like put on some perfume and it's like, who am I doing this for? Like what? It's all mental.
Thing. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Retainers. God. Yeah. That's wild. That's wild.
I got the metal one too, not the trays. I'm
the
like,
metal one, is that like 20 years old?
I don't reveal my age, but it might be close to that.
Oh man, is it clean still?
Yeah, I brush it all the time like my regular teeth.
Is it clean as if she hasn't cleaned it in 20 years?
Wait, I'm supposed to clean it?
No, because I'll be honest, like I had a retainer, like one of those like plastic ones, whatever. I had that I probably got it when I was like 19 or 20. And yeah, this is gross, but there was like a period of time where I like didn't really do anything to clean it, and it was just like dead yellow. And the way I looked at it is like I didn't put it in my mouth unless my teeth were clean. Like I just brushed my teeth, so technically it should be clean. That's how men sometimes think.
That's man math for
sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of like have you watched New Girl?
Yeah, of course.
So Nick doesn't believe in washing his towels because he's like, the towel dries me. I just showered. I just am clean now, and I'm using it to dry me. What do you mean I have to wash my towels? So in like the 3 years that he's like moved into this apartment, he's never washed his towels once.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've 1000% had a thought like that in my life. Like not now, I'm 31, but like 20-year-old Mark in college was like, I don't need to wash my sheets that often. Like I get into bed clean. I shower before bed. So like I'm clean. So hypothetically,
you don't want to know the statistics.
Yeah.
You don't want to know, and let's not even get into it.
Well, at 31 now, I wash my sheets at least every 75 weeks. So.
Every year and a half.
Yeah,
once a year,
there
special occasions.
There it is. So, all right, Bridget.
Okay, so anyways, let's jump in and meet Bridget.
Yeah, so let's start off the podcast. Can you give a 30-second intro to yourself? Let's say you are, I don't know, you're on your way to LA. You're at the airport. Somebody walks up to you. They're like, who are you? What's your story? Give us the 30-second elevator pitch.
I would say my name's Bridget Minor. I probably actually wouldn't give my last name at the airport. But
let's just assume you give the last name.
My name is Bridget Minor. I'm 29 years old, on the precipice of 30. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm head of marketing and e-commerce for a women's ethical, sustainable lifestyle brand. I do freelance branding, website design, digital marketing. And recently I've launched kind of a passion project in interpreting people's astrological birth charts.
There it is.
Oh my God. That is awesome. I will be hiring you for your services.
Oh my gosh, please do. I take pride in guessing what people's sign is.
Oh, okay.
I know.
So
Mark's.
by the end, his is so loud and so obvious. But at the end of the recording session, I want you to guess what mine is.
Oh, deal. That's so fun.
Okay. I like that idea. That's a good idea.
That'll be fun. And then like bonus points if you can guess my rising and my moon.
Ooh, okay.
There's obviously a lot of people when they hear the astrology stuff, they're like, is this legit? Because there are certain times like people have been like, oh, you're like, I say I'm Libra, and they're like, oh yeah, you 100% have Libra energy. And I'm like, what does that mean? And like, what is the basis of that? And what happens if two people are born near the same date, but they're like very different humans? Why is that? Is the astrology stuff legit? Like, can you explain some of that for people who don't get it?
Okay, yes. So it's super complex and layered. But the sun sign, it drives me crazy when people are like, well, I'm this and that person's this too, and we're nothing alike. It's like, okay, we've got your big three, your inner planets, your outer planets. Your sun sign is one of 12. You will have that in common with 12 other. It's one of 12. Your moon sign, so the month of your birth. Your moon sign, the moon changes its phase every 2 days. And so your moon is going to be in a different sign. So if your birthday is a week apart from somebody, even the same year, your moon sign is going to be different. Your sun sign represents your core. Your moon sign's your inner emotions. And your rising sign, which is the mask that you portray to the world, how people perceive you, is within a 2-hour window. And so that's why I think it's so funny when people send me that meme that's like the girl who asks a guy on a date what his birth time is, and he texts his mom, and his mom says, like, stay away from that girl. I just think it's so funny because your rising sign really is so telling to your character. So I think you're a Leo rising, which makes so much sense. You use co-star.
Yes.
And I don't love co-star. I'll say that. I'm a Channy Nicholas girl all the way.
I'm a Leo rising and a Cancer moon.
And a Libra sun.
Oh, I thought you guessed that.
No.
Oh, I could have if he didn't show me his chart already.
Yeah. I showed it.
Makes so
Okay.
much sense. It really tracks.
No, it totally tracks.
But then there are these things called, it's convoluted, but there are 12 houses that represent all different areas of your life. Think of it as like a movie. So the houses are the setting, the planets are the actors, and the signs are the role that they play.
Okay.
So you know how actors will come in and Matthew McConaughey and George Clooney could have the same role but bring a totally different essence to the situation. That would be the tone that the planets set. And so it's all relational.
Okay. So you're basically
Okay,
saying,
I love that.
if two people are born on different days and different situations and everything like that, that's why their charts, one, are not the same, and that's also why two people are not exactly the same just because they were born in a similar time.
Correct.
Okay, I'm learning.
Okay,
You'll be
I'm actually
into
really
it.
curious about the whole like moon rising sun sign thing, because I have noticed that it is that whole thing of like my rising will be the same as someone's sun sign, and I couldn't be more different than them. But because of it's almost like its purpose is served for something else, and that is why it's so different. So my rising isn't Gemini, but I am nothing like, let's say, a Gemini sun.
Right. So
sort
your
of
rising sign means it's in your first house. So that's your identity, your sense of self. So if it's their sun sign, it could be an entirely different area of the chart. So for example, like the third house is the planet of, or the house of communication, how you interpret and analyze information. That's the house of siblings and like daily communication. So this podcast would technically fall in your third house. That'd be interesting to see what's going on in both of your charts. But like the ninth house is like higher education, publishing. So that'd be more long-term communication. So if you wrote a book, that would be in your ninth house. So it's really crazy and super particular to each individual person's chart. And then recently I've gotten into astrocartography. I sound like a lunatic, but I swear if y'all knew.
What is that?
Okay, so it's your birth chart put on a geographical map. And so it'll tell you, here is where your career line runs through, and it'll give you cities. So I looked mine up before I came here, and I was like, just wondering if anything like crosses through LA or somewhere near. And my Mars line is right through LA, and Mars is how I assert myself. And so this is definitely doing something I've never done before. And so me asserting myself in different ways. It's just funny how it connects the dots and tells a greater story, kind of paints a picture.
There we go.
How did you get started in all of this? I feel like there had to be something that piqued your interest initially.
Technically, I went to Sedona, Arizona, kind of doing just a girls' trip with my mom and my sister. And I walked into this like crystal chakra shop, and I wasn't skeptical, but I was not into this whatsoever. And this woman comes up to me and she's like, I've been waiting for you to walk in. And I'm like, what? How do you know me? What are you talking about? And she's like, I've been waiting for you. I saw you across the street. I sensed your aura, blah, 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 blah. And I just think it's a crock of shit at this point. And so I'm like, okay. And she's like, let me read your chakra. And I made my sister and my mom go first. And it was like pretty run of the mill, like what you'd expect. And then I sit down and she's like, yep, it's you. And I was like, what? And she did this whole reading and it was 20 minutes longer than my mom and my sister's. And she's like, your intuition's really strong. You've got these spirit guides around you, blah, blah, blah. I just want to warn you, you're about to have the emotional purge of a lifetime. And I was like, great. Awesome. This is amazing. So I kind of forget about it. I'm like into it, reading the report on the drive from Sedona back to Phoenix. And I'm, my interest is peaked. And then I kind of forget about it. And then 3 weeks to a month later, my boyfriend and I of 6 years are on the fast track to getting engaged, and we break up. I caught him. Technically, some girl came up to me and was like, oh, I didn't know you and blah, 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 we're broken up. And I was like, we're not. What are you talking about? Like, we're actually, what do you mean? We're supposed to be getting engaged soon. And she's like, oh, well, I saw him on Bumble. And I was like, oh. So then just dealing with the rug being pulled out from underneath me. I'm living in Little Rock for him, which is someplace I would never choose to live. But I was doing all of this, bending over backwards, trying to make this all work. We've been together so long. That certainty of being able to plan out your life after being with someone for so long. So I was got the wind knocked out of me, trying to make sense of it. I was in a Bible study at the same time. I was just trying to grasp onto straws of like, why, how, what is going on? And I learned about this thing called a Saturn return. And I was like, I need to know more. So basically, every 27 to 29 years, Saturn makes a return around the sun to the same place it was in the sky as on the day you were born. And Saturn represents, he's like the disciplinarian. He's father time. It's boundaries. It's routines. It's karmic lessons. It's really asking, it's a cosmic coming of age. It's asking you, where are you going? What are you here to do? What is your legacy? And if you haven't listened to the whispers before, the questions that your life is trying to ask you, because your life is always speaking to you, if you haven't been listening or been avoiding those kind of obstacles in your life, it's going to come at you so hard. And you can go with the flow, you can go against the flow. I guess I was going against the flow. My sister also went against the flow during her Saturn return. She got divorced. Some people go really with the flow. It just depends. So I learned about that and I was like, I have to know more. It doesn't make sense to know about Saturn and not know about the rest of your chart. And so I just really dove in, and now it's just like something I reference all the time, and I'm constantly telling my friends, oh, this is because of this. It's not a religion or anything like that, but it's definitely a tool and a resource to get to know you better, yourself better, to get to know others better, to even just like equip you for situations in life and business and love, all of it. It's been such a tool.
I'm really curious. You said go against your Saturn return. What would be an example of going against versus going with?
So like, not to out my sister, but I absolutely will, because now she's in a happy marriage and has two beautiful babies. But she was in a marriage previous to the one she's in now. And I knew it. She knew it. It wasn't great, but probably honestly what I would have done if my boyfriend and I had not broken up. But just kind of checking the to-dos off, the marriage milestone. It was the next thing to do instead of fixing and strengthening your relationship and, maybe not even consciously deciding to break up because it's not for you, just getting married and hoping things will change. And so avoiding the things that you need to sort out because you're hoping that it'll get better. I can fix him. I can fix this. And so when it comes at you, it comes out strong. It starts with a whisper. And if you ignore, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. And it did. And hers broke, mine broke. But someone going with the flow is like, let's say you quit your job and you have an interest in, starting a podcast. You can go with the flow and really trust the timing of your life, and it could propel you into absolute success. So like AOC, the congresswoman, I think she was, during her Saturn return, she was a waitress, and by the end of it, she's a congresswoman. So like that would be going with the flow. So one could only hope
That's
to do
incredible. I also think your body really talks. I'm sorry. This is like so fascinating to me because I think it's one of those things that I don't want to believe in. I don't know why. You know, you kind of, it would be an example of me fighting. Probably it. I've always tried to fight it. I had a very similar experience, almost exactly like yours. I was in Ojai, which I guess is similar energy to Sedona. It's like a very female energy. The woman that I spoke to, her name is Natalia. She's incredible. And I walked into a crystal store and I only went in there because I used to be a rock freak. Like all through elementary school, all through middle school, I used to collect rocks. They used to call me the rock hound. It's really embarrassing.
I'm on rock talk, and so I love that.
There you go. Okay. So love my rocks. I go in there. I don't believe in like crystal healing stuff. And I was in this situation where I had been with this guy. I'd gotten back together with him. I really needed to break up with him. And we had this talk right before I left for Ojai that was basically like, I need to decide if you are worth putting myself through hell for and be patient and go to therapy and do all of those things, or if I just call it quits, it's not my problem. And when I was in the car, I said out loud, I want this trip to give me the answer that I'm looking for. Not that type of person ever for me to even vocalize that. So I go to Ojai. It was a girl's day. I walk into the store. I get tarot card reading done for the first time in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the first things she said to me was, I think I pulled like the devil card and then I pulled something else. And she said to me, what'd you say?
I said the Hanged Man or the Tower. Those are both like destructive cards.
It was the Tower.
Yep.
So she said to me, she was like, there is a man in your life that is going to kill you. That you are going to stay with him. And it's not like an actual, a murder, but like this relationship will be the death of you. And it's going to bring you so much stress and so much pain that will actually cut your life short. You need to immediately leave this person. And it was the answer that I needed. I never spoke to him again. So I got the answer to this question that I asked, and it was amazing.
But don't you think you always knew that answer? You just needed a complete stranger to tell it to you, like the universe using her as a channel and being like, girl, get out now. I felt like when 100%. I was in that position, I knew it's like fear versus intuition. And I kept asking myself, am I settling or am I being ungrateful? Because he came from a very comfortable upbringing. I knew I would be financially supported, a very comfortable life, trips and vacations and material things. And just if I would never have to work. And if I wanted to work, it could be passion projects that would be supported. Like I knew that it would be a comfortable life. And so that's why I was like, am I being ungrateful or am I settling because I know that this is not intuitively in my body meant for me forever. And I think you outgrow people. And I think it was a season of my life that changed the trajectory of the rest of my life. But without it, I don't know who I would be. It's so haunting. The idea of living a life that you want to live so badly, but you don't have the courage to do so is haunting. I gave myself an ulcer actually months before. I think I actually manifested our breakup because I was like questioning it, but like I didn't know if that was like cold feet. I didn't know. I knew he had a ring. I knew all these things. And I was almost like projecting it all onto him. Like, I'm unsure, but without saying it. And then we both were unsure, but not communicating it. And then it just dissolved, evaporated. Well,
your body always knows.
Oh, your body knows. Absolutely knows. But I think there's power I think grief can be glorious. Like after I found out I wouldn't say he cheated, but I think there's a difference between cheating and being unfaithful. And I think when I learned that he did that, I was so surprised at my reaction because I thought, what should have been a cataclysmic catastrophe in my life gave me such a sense of relief. Like I was like, the cage door has opened. I'm not a bird in a cage any longer. I can live my life the way I want to without permission. And it took a long time to get courage to do that. But it was like, oh, thank God I didn't have to make that decision. Like it was justification.
It was your out.
Yeah, it was my out.
We talked about this on a previous episode, but Anna, I think this was one of the episodes that was one of the episodes that we cut. But I think it'd be really interesting to talk about what our definition of cheating is. Because you said he didn't actually, I don't think he actually cheated on me, but correct me if I'm wrong, you said he was on Bumble.
Correct.
So he may not have met up with somebody, but he did the act of potentially going to meet up with somebody or potentially talking to somebody, flirting with somebody, yada, yada, yada. I think it'd be interesting to hear from both of you guys, and then obviously I can give kind of the male perspective too. What is the definition of cheating?
So I feel like cheating, and the reason I said unfaithful versus cheating is because I feel like cheating is so tied to physical cheating, emotional cheating, which both terrible, don't wish it upon anyone. But unfaithful, I feel like, is the step before that, where it's like the moment you have to hide a text message, or the moment you're putting your phone on silent, or maybe, thinking of doing the action. The moment you download the Bumble app, I don't care if you have a account created, like that to me is being unfaithful. And he has the worst luck and could, I honestly think he downloaded it like 24 hours beforehand. It doesn't matter if he did or not. But I knew that something was happening. I knew that something was trying to, I knew he was trying to get away with something. But thank God that girl came up to me, and it was actually me and his little sister. And it was shocking. But I do think that there's a difference between physical cheating, emotional cheating. I personally think emotional cheating cuts so much deeper. But the moment it becomes being unfaithful, I think, is the moment you would never want your partner to find out that you did that.
I've always thought of unfaithful, infidelity, cheating as synonymous, but I understand completely that there's levels. They're all bad, but there is levels. I think that infidelity, cheating, anything is just any time you have done something that you feel like you have to hide it. And I think that sense of guilt can make things up for interpretation, because a lot of people don't have a conscience and they don't care if they're found out. They're arrogant. So I guess that's not really a spectrum in which you should measure anything. But I think when you've technically done an act, whether that be, I think even avidly Instagram stalking a girl that you think is really hot and have a crush on. And, I think there's when you've given energy to someone that you are attracted to that is not your partner, I think that's cheating. And maybe I'm being harsh, but I don't think it has to be physical. I think it can even be an abnormal amount of interest. I think that being attracted to somebody, I think being, intrigued by someone, that's human nature. That's totally fine. But when you start feeling like your energy is being taken by somebody, I think that's cheating.
I completely agree.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never really heard it phrased that way, but I would agree with that. I've always looked at cheating as doing anything that you wouldn't want your partner to know about. I think that to me is like, you are cheating. You're cheating in some capacity by doing something that you don't want them to find out about, because if they did, they may view you differently or may have another opinion of you or things like that, right? And so when you talk about, Anna, kind of giving your energy to somebody, that like an abnormal amount of energy, that's interesting, because I think that could be whether you're at work and there's a coworker that you tend to just talk to a bit more. And to me, it's, is that like a drastic level of cheating? No, but I think it's a matter of like asking yourself, why am I doing that? You know what I mean? Like if you are doing that, is it something that you're not happy with the relationship, yada, yada, yada. And I always go back to, when it comes to cheating, I'm like, if you have the thought of wanting to cheat, why are you in that relationship? Like leaving any relationship is never easy, right? No one's going to sit here and say leaving a relationship is fun or easy or whatever, but like leave the relationship before you cheat. And again, I think it's so important to understand the definition of cheating is not just physical. If you are, talking to somebody, if you are texting with somebody, if you are changing someone's name in your phone so that your, wife or girlfriend or whatever doesn't find out about it, if you are downloading a dating app and just, I'm going to look to see what else is out there, that's a form of cheating. Like cheating is a really, really broad term. It's not just the physical act. It's not even just like the, sexting with somebody or something like that. It's doing anything that you wouldn't want your partner partner to do back to you too, right? And I also think there's financial cheating. If you are taking out, who knows, maybe you're taking out lines of credit in your wife's name or husband's name. Maybe you're spending on a card that they don't know about. Maybe you're the one that handles the finances in the household and you're abusing that in a way that they don't know about. Maybe you are sneaking and doing some sort of like drug that you don't want them to know about. I think that's a form of emotional cheating. Like there's so many different forms of cheating. And that's why I always err on the side of like, just be so open about how you feel within yourself first, right? So that you don't do these different things. And then also remind yourself that there are so many different ways that you can break the trust of your partner. So whether that is physical cheating, emotional cheating, financial cheating, some other form of cheating, whatever you're doing, cheating is breaking the trust of the partner that you're with. So if you're doing something that's breaking their trust, like your relationship's pretty much doomed. So again, I think we have to broaden the terminology behind cheating because there's so many times that somebody will be like, oh, my partner never cheated on me, but they did this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but by them doing this, this, and this, they broke your trust. So essentially they cheated, right? And so we have to kind of remove that physical nature of things because I would argue there's so many worse things you could do to your partner in terms of cheating than like if you go to, I don't know, a random bar and you make out with a girl. I think there are so many other things that are actually way worse than that are not physical or anything like that. So I think that's where mind you, again, I'm not saying going to a bar and making out with a girl is any form of okay, but I'm saying that the breaking your partner's trust in some capacity is definitely cheating.
Okay, so I have an interesting take on that because what you're describing almost describes the matter of law. So like the premeditation making a crime ultimately worse than it is versus it being a crime of passion. And I think that ultimately can cross over into your love life as well. I think that, like you said, someone going to a bar, making out with a stranger would cut me a lot less deep than even my boyfriend being excited to see someone at work every day. Mm-hmm. That would kill me because it's like, the intrigue. And I think that, I've had talks with friends about this where they've been transparent about like a work crush. And it's like when you start to get dressed up for that work crush and not your partner, then it's time to really reevaluate things.
And I think that's where, again, we have to get to the point of like broadening that definition because there's so many times somebody be like, no, I never cheated. I just did this, this, and this it's probably not okay. Right. So yeah, I think we 100%, it's like, But I also think, again, you have to go back to taking a really, really hard look at your relationship and asking yourself, am I happy with this? Like, because you cheat because you're unhappy in some capacity, right? Or
with yourself.
It could be with yourself.
With something else, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different things. And so I think there's so many people who are not in tune with their own self. And so then they go and they do these different things. And then that's where you hear people say, oh, that's not me. I promise that's not me. I just I had this moment of weakness, blah, blah.
But it
and
is
I'm like,
you did it.
Yeah, it's 100% you. You 1000% did it. You're 1000% guilty. It's just it's the fact of you need to remain in tune with yourself and to ask yourself, is there something about this relationship, this, whatever that I'm not happy with, and therefore I'm going to do something further down the line to hurt this person? It's like, man, just end it before you even get to that point.
That's reflection, and I completely agree with that. But I think that's reflecting on what's happening. But I think you also have to be proactive with establishing your boundaries on the forefront because the longer you're in a relationship, the more the boundaries start to blur. And so you can be the frog in boiling water and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter and you just acclimate to the temperature. But if you just toss the frog in there, it'd be boiling and you'd be like, oh, fuck no, that's a hard boundary. Don't do that. I really admire this speaker. His name is John Wineland, and he really talks about the masculine and feminine dynamics of things. And he says men cheat because they're lacking a nutrient from a woman. They're feeling burdened by a woman, and women cheat because there's a lack of love there. And so I think if men cheat versus women cheat, there's a different question. There's a different need that's not being met. Doesn't mean there's an excuse, but I think that's why, yes, totally agree with your reflection and analyzing what's happening, but you have to be very proactive with boundaries. And I think also too, the on again, off again component of it. Let's say, oh, it wasn't really cheating. It was just we're just friendly at work, or it wasn't really cheating. I just responded to her story, or it wasn't really cheating, yada, yada, yada. So it can go on and on and on. And the blurred lines, the murky boundaries. I think the on again and off again relationship is a conspiracy theory. It has never worked for me. I don't think it'll ever work for me. I think when you give your love, you know what it's worth. But once you set the tone for how you want to be loved and they disrespect that, I think it's time to get out and be done and close the book forever.
100%.
I have a question. Do you guys think that liking a person's pictures is a form of cheating? Following girls on Instagram, liking their bikini photos, where do you think that falls on the spectrum of unfaithfulness?
It depends on the context. Like if you're following one of my friends I introduced you to, even if you didn't know her very well, I'm like, okay, maybe he's just trying to be friends with her. And like, I appreciate someone who tries to get to know my friends. I think that's great. If it's someone you don't know and it's consistently bikini pictures, why do you need to like that? Like, can you not find it on your Explore page? Can you not? I don't know. I think that's so ties back to even dating apps now. Like, I hate dating apps. I cannot participate in them. The bane of my existence is small talk. Like, if I'm not untangling your subconscious, I don't want it. But it's the window shopping, the fallacy of options, the comparison. Like, if you can do it with one account, you can do it with 1 million, then you can start to DM. It just escalates. And I respect you and I trust you, but there's a certain level in which it becomes inappropriate.
100%. I think
totally agree with that.
I think it's a matter of what is your relationship with that person. I think it's weird, and I've said this to my guy friends, like, if you follow a bunch of girls that you have no relationship with, meaning you don't work with them, you're not friends with them, you don't have a mutual connection with them in some capacity, you truly have no real reason to follow them other than you like their content. To me, it's like, I don't know if their content, it depends what their content is. Who knows? Maybe they're like a really cool chef or whatever. Like, oh, okay, cool. I could get down with that. I could understand that. But if it's like, yeah, if it's, to be honest, if it's you, Anna, like, and it's just like, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Hey, if they're following you because they love the podcast, totally fine. Totally get that, right? But if they're only liking the photos of you in your bathing suit and they're not liking any of the podcast content, obviously they gotta go. You gotta, that's terrible.
Hey, my captions are funny.
You know,
that's probably some guy's excuse. He's probably like, well, I liked the joke she made in her caption.
She's so witty.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of, again, I think I also agree. I believe this too, that you should always have the ability to ask your partner why they do like somebody's photos. Hey, maybe they have a rationale. Maybe there's something you're not thinking about, right? But I think it's how you ask it too, right? You know, hey, why are you liking so? You know, that's an aggressive. Hey, by the way, it makes me feel a little bit insecure when I see that you like so-and-so's photos. Is there a reason why? Do you know her personally? Whatever. I don't really think that's that big a deal to ask. Now, some people will state that that is a big deal, and they'll state that that's like controlling or that's, you know, overprotective, whatever. But I think it's all about how you frame the question. I don't think it's a big deal to wonder why somebody likes somebody's photos or why they engage or why they do X, Y, and Z. But I think it's how you frame that question. And if you're coming at somebody with an accusatory tone, then they're probably not going to take it too well. But if you have an actual conversation with them, who knows? Maybe there is something that you just don't know about. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that can play a role, though not likely. And I think you have to factor that in. At the end of the day, I would say this. If you are liking photos of a girl, which the photos are predominantly her body or X, Y, and Z, you'd then have to ask yourself, if your partner was liking a guy's photos and liking his body and everything like that, would that bother you? If the answer is yes, then maybe you don't like the other photo, right? Treat people how you'd like to be treated.
I think I'm so stubborn that if that happened to me, or if I saw someone I was talking to or dating doing that, I am so stubborn. I don't think that I would even ask them. It would just be an instant ick, and I would be like, "Oh, I've seen all I need to see. I know I need to know." Like, I don't even have the energy to bring that up, because to me, it's a foundation. It's a respect thing. It's a foundation thing. Like, it should, in my mind, go without saying. I don't know. That's just me, but I think that my standards are so high, and maybe it's because what I've been through in the past and like having this extended period of being single. I'm just like, I can't even entertain that. That's like a boys' game. I'm here for a man, looking for a man.
That's fair.
I feel like everything you're describing is just a sign of maturity, because when I used to approach dating before, I would look at the action. It didn't matter how I found that action. So if, let's say, my boyfriend was liking a bunch of bikini photos, it wouldn't matter that I had spent, you know, admittedly like an hour looking to see who he followed and if he liked her photos. I now would be reassessing the need for me to even survey what he's doing.
Why
and
is
like
my
I know
energy
that
going to that? Yeah.
Why am I even thinking that way? I have never looked at who my current boyfriend is following. Did I look at who my ex-boyfriend, whatever, when we were dating, was following? Yes, because my gut knew that he was being unfaithful and there was reason for me to look, but I didn't have the introspection. I was in a lot of denial about it. So I didn't want to take a look and take a step back and go, oh, you're looking because you know there's cracks and you have a very, very creaky foundation. It's going to fall apart if you look, and you're going to find something.
Oh,
whereas
if you look,
now,
you're gonna find something.
When the relationship is bad, absolutely.
My friends, like if a guy isn't texting back, they'll then look at who they're following. If their number's gone up, they'll look at the Snapchat score. I'm like, there are too many methods and channels to do a double check. If you're having to even check, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Totally. My friends will look at when my friends will look at the Snapchat numbers go up, and she'll be like, but he hasn't texted me back, yet his number is going up. Does it go up when you receive or when you open? And I'm like,
get out.
Oh my God, we're too old. I mean, any age is too old to be doing it. But like that behavior has to stop when you're like 18 or 19.
It has got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would agree with that too. I think if there's something that you're questioning about your partner to obviously depending on the extent and things like that, yeah, you have to ask yourself why you're wondering those things. And if it's simply, I just don't trust the person I'm dating, then why are you dating them, right? And I think trust is the most important thing that you can have with anybody. And that goes for friends, that goes for partners, that goes for people you work with, whatever it is. If for whatever reason you don't trust somebody, to me, there's only so far that relationship can go. And I also don't believe trust can be repaired. I don't think it's possible. I think it's a fallacy to believe that you can just forget something that somebody did to you. And so to me, you waste more time trying to repair broken trust than you do trying to find the right person out there for you who will give you trust and will never break that trust. And so I think there's way too many people that are like, well, hey, they broke my trust one time, but I forgave them and I'm willing to move forward, whatever. But I'm like, but did you forget? Because you didn't forget. Never. And so if they did something, if they broke your trust in some sort of way when they were on a bachelor party, or they were out with their guy friends one night, or they were drinking one night or whatever, then the next time they go on a bachelor party, they're out with their guy friends, they're drinking, you're going to wonder if they're going to do that to you again. So what I would say is if the trust is broken, move on from the relationship. There are so many people out there that you could be happy with that will never break your trust and things like that. Why settle for somebody where you're constantly wondering, is this person faithful to me, or am I just, kind of being blind in the scenario?
I agree. Yeah. So after a breakup, what do you think, not the policy should be, but what are your rules for after a breakup when it comes to social media? Do you unfollow? Do you block? Do you keep as is? Do you mute? What is the method that makes you feel the most comfortable post breakup?
I have never unfollowed and I've never blocked. I'll mute just because I don't want you to think that I'm still paying attention to you, and I don't pay attention to you. I don't look at your stories. I don't follow up. What's done is done, but I also don't want to burn bridges. Like, I'm still rooting for that person. Like, that person may have hurt me, but like, I don't see myself with you. I don't want to hold any grudges. I don't want to hold on to any resentment or bitterness. Like, I am better off not being here with you. I totally understand if people unfollow people, and I think that's a boundary thing. I'm really not on social media that much, so I'm not checking. I'm not worried about what they're doing. It takes a long time for me to be certain about something, and so if I am done with a relationship, I've probably been thinking about it for a couple months. I'm not just one to pull the trigger, and so I'm certain at that time we're done. But I still wish you the best. Like, I don't have any ill will. I don't like any bad funk, no bad juju. Even if you did hurt me, I'm still like, thank you for the season that you served in my life. It is over.
Dang.
I've said things like that, and people have been like, oh, well, you're letting them off too easy. And it's not about them.
It's not my job.
This is about the energy that I'm carrying.
Yeah. I'm not karma. Karma will get you, but it's not my job to do that. I'm not going to waste my energy making sure that you get what's coming. She'll knock on your door.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm really curious about, do you ever think about, I want to make this as eloquent as I can, but I don't know if I can. When people say, Jesus, take the wheel, do you feel like that's kind of astrology in a way for you, of just like letting the universe speak? It's written in the stars. It's already, you know what I mean? It almost takes the forcing it out of
Oh yeah.
the element or the situation?
Yeah, it's definitely very validating and a big confidence boost, because it's like you think, especially in a breakup moment or, you know, a job change or any kind of big life change, it's really validating to look at your chart and think, okay, there's so much more ahead of me. Or even seeing, one of my favorite things to do when I'm reading someone's chart is like, okay, here is what you're naturally good at, maybe consciously or subconsciously, but here's where you can lean into. And here is how it interacts with like your career or your love life, or what you create, where you create abundance, how you communicate. So all the different pieces of what it means to be human and what it means to be unique. It's like leaning into that and then giving them permission, validating like, here is something that you could really grow in, and maybe you're self-conscious about it, or maybe you haven't explored it enough, but it's giving you permission to experiment, to explore, to just shut up. And I think it's so telling when people come out of a reading and be like, I feel so aligned. Like, you just validated what I thought was like a silly hobby. I'm actually going to go start taking cooking classes now, or I'm going to go to kickboxing. Like, I can't tell you how many times people have been like, I felt like you were reading my diary. I'm like, well,
isn't it sad how so many of us have all of these feelings inside, but they don't have meaning until someone else validates that they exist, that they're meant for us, that everything that we've been dreaming of is meant to come to life, and that we can't just trust our own intuition and desire?
I fully believe that the coolest people you know are the most authentic. And so trying to be everything to everybody is never going to work. It is never going to work. The coolest people you know, I think everyone has an algorithm, like your TikTok algorithm. There's a lane for everybody. I'm never competitive with other girls. Definitely not guys, but I'm never competitive with another woman, because there is room for us to all win. And I love reading women's charts, because I'm like, number one hype queen. I'm like, pop off. This is where you need to lean into. This is what shows would make you feel empowered. Like, does this resonate? And they're like, oh my God, yes, thank you. I'm going to do that thing now. And I'm like, go after it.
Yeah. I think everybody should get their chart read after a breakup.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm big with like the universe is going to, I don't know, it's going to lead you in the right direction. Like, I'm not I feel like if you putting out the right energy into the world bounces back and gives you the right energy back to you. So I feel like if you're like, I'm a big believer in karma, like huge believer in karma. And do I know exactly why I believe in karma? Like, not really, but I do think it's an energy thing. I think it's something where if I have this thought in the back of my head of like, okay, everything that you do affects your karma, right? Well, then I don't want to do the wrong things, because I wouldn't want bad things to happen back to me, right? And so I feel like because at a young age, I kind of always had that mindset of like, there's almost like a greater power watching over you. And if you're like, you're doing the wrong things, and that greater power is going to come down and like smack you. Because I've always kind of had that belief, then I'm like, okay, I just want to go about life in the best way possible. And then I think the older I got, the more I was like, yeah. And I also, on top of that, feel great doing the good things, right? Like, just being a good person feels great. So why would I want to do the negative things? Why would I want to be a negative aspect of somebody's life and things like that? And so I just want to be a positive, solid influence. But I even think about that at certain times where I'm like, if I'm walking down the street and I see a piece of trash on the side of the street, and there's like a trash can over, and I like walk past it, then I'm like, okay, nope, can't just walk past that. Got to turn around, got to go grab that, because boy, that's bad karma to just walk past that trash. I saw it, and I know I saw it, and I gotta go throw that away now. And I feel like I try to remind myself. I don't know. Karma allows me to remind myself to like keep doing the right thing, and so I feel like it affects my moves in life of just always kind of reminding myself like, hey, keep doing the right thing, keep being that positive influence for people, keep being that positive light, make the world a better place, like all that different stuff. And it all, like, at the end of the day, kind of goes back to just like karma and wanting to, I guess, like, you know, put out good energy, receive good energy.
Oh, for sure. Your life is a mirror. I also think too, you know, on the whole idea of asking the universe questions or kind of communicating that balance, that energy flow, like, you want certainty in your life. So like post breakup, post job change, post, you know, moving across the country, like wanting, okay, what's happening to me? Like what is my future? And you're never going to get the full picture, but asking the universe for like an arrow, my next arrow, what's the next arrow? And I remember okay, living in Little Rock, Arkansas, I didn't want to live there from the get-go, and I knew I was not going to stay there. And so I was like, where do I move? And I had like 4 different places that I was thinking about, and then COVID hit, and I was like, great, now I can't. So I'm just going to sit here in my 1-bedroom apartment and get really familiar with myself and, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, answer some questions, uncover some arrows. And I wrote down every single arrow that I got, like sign, and I have it in a note section of my phone called Should I Write This Down? And one day I'm going to have a book, and that's going to be the title of my book, Should I Write This Down? But it's so crazy, and I'm so glad that I wrote down every sign, because if I didn't, I would probably doubt myself a lot more. But when I have this chronological order and this like journal guide of how I got from like a 2-3 year period of how I got to where I was to where I am, I'm able to also reflect on the evolution of, you know, honestly, I feel like coming from a girl to a woman and like actually turning the tassel of like, okay, I am the sole person responsible for my own happiness. Here is me. Here is how I created it. And then also after moving to Nashville, which was a huge leap of faith, I found that I was coasting on the emotional work that I had done prior. I was just so excited to get there, and I'm like, okay, done, close, like did all the work. Now I'm here. And took a lot of time, you know, meeting people, going to parties, getting in like the social scene, and then feeling unfulfilled and then being hard on myself. And I was like, okay, nope, go back, read that note. You can't come so far, but you still have to do the work. The work is still there. The work is never finished.
Can you give an example of one of the arrows that you wrote down? Like what was a sign that you would write down?
My very first arrow. Okay, so I came home from my job that I hated at the time, and I was just feeling so restless. And I was like, where do I move? It's between like Dallas, Austin, Nashville. I mean, I was looking at pretty much everywhere. And one of my good friends had just moved to Nashville, but I hadn't even thought about it. I hadn't really thought about it. And so I was in my apartment and I was like, you know what? I'm looking for arrows. I said it out loud, like, give me an arrow. I don't need the full picture. Just give me the next step. And I went downstairs, worked out on the treadmill, came back upstairs, got on my Instagram story. And the first story I see is a live band, my friend posting this, and it said Nashville, arrow, arrow, arrow. And it was a cover band. And they were singing, if he liked it, then he should have put a ring on it, which is exactly the situation.
Oh my God.
And I was like, shit, I got to write that down. And that is the very first note in my Should I Write This Down?
Wow, I love that.
It's giving Carrie Bradshaw. Like, I couldn't help but wonder if that was an arrow.
Yeah. With her like foot on the laptop, smoking a cigarette.
Literally smoking a little joint out of my
So Carrie.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Who? Wait, who's that?
Sex in the City.
Oh, never seen it.
Carrie Bradshaw.
I know Terry Bradshaw.
No. So different.
Legendary.
Okay, really
Info
quick
quarterback.
though. I do want to talk about navigating life after a breakup, because I feel like you're very level-headed and I think you could give some positive advice. It seems like you're really mature. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like one of the most prevalent that I can think of for myself and then all my other friends is the obsessive thinking that surrounds a breakup. Like the questions, the what ifs, like we think if we'll have one more talk, if they just see you face to face one more time, everything would make sense, closure, things like that. But matters of the heart are so messy. And I feel like they're so messy. And I feel like heartbreak has a torturous way of removing any logic when it, and you can't be logical when you're ruminating. Mm-mm. So I'm just wondering, what do you think are some healthy ways to help yourself get out of a vicious, overthinking spiral?
So I read a quote one time and it was, overthinking is a fool's form of torture. And I was like, oh God, I'm a fool. Why am I doing this? And then just putting in, again, quarantine was really helpful. What should have been such a dark time for me was actually so amazing. I was living by myself. I could spend time by myself and not have FOMO that other people were doing things without me. No one was doing anything. And so it was permission to just like, lean into my introverted side, learn things about myself. But I was terrified to move to Nashville because at 26, I was like, it's too late to start over, which is hysterical now. I was like, I can't start over again because I am from Kansas City, went to school in Arkansas, lived there for 7 years, and then moved to Nashville. And I was like, my life right now is just before and after Arkansas, which is such a ridiculous thought. You can reinvent yourself every day. You can restart. There are so many iterations of you that you don't even know yet. And there's so many versions of you that you don't even know yet. But going from a we to a me mindset seems daunting, but it is so powerful. Like, you figuring out what you want to do and not what y'all want to do. But moving to a new city, I did not have a job lined up. I saved enough money during COVID to live comfortably. I was like, I'm making a huge life change. I don't want anything to come from a lack mindset. I don't want to make any decision out of scarcity. I don't want to make any decision out of fear. Like, I'm doing this confidently. So I got to Nashville. I immersed myself in, I thankfully had wonderful roommates who introduced me to a lot of people. But it was so fun and so easy. It was so much more, it was harder getting there, but it was so worth it. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. It was like, who do I want to be here? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What do I want to see? But it's so, I think a lot of people think that they can't do that, even on a small scale. If you want to, you don't have to quit your job before starting a side hustle. You can ease into it. There are phases. You can dip a toe in, see what happens. But the idea that you can heal in the environment that hurt you is fake. You need to remove yourself, whether it be the same house, whether it be the same neighborhood, whether it be the same state. You cannot heal in the same environment that hurt you, period.
Mm-hmm. I think it makes me really sad that age is such a huge element of why people think they can't start over. Because, you know, when you said the 26, I hear a lot of women say, you know, I'm like in my 30s, it's never going to happen for me. And I think you're alive. The days are passing, time is passing anyways. So why not, you know, become one step closer to a life that you're proud of?
100%. I mean, all of my friends from college are married. We all thought I was going to be the first one to get married, and I'm literally the last. They're all in their like second or third baby now. And I find that they give me sympathy when they're like, Bridget, dating anyone? Did you go on any dates? Or I'll be like, I went on a date, and they're like, how was it? And I know it's genuine, but it's like also coming from like a sympathetic place. I'm like, I don't need your sympathy. I don't need your pity. Like, this is a position of power. I'm 29, going on 30. I am not afraid to be single. I think it's empowering. I want to shift the narrative. Like, the more that I get to know myself, the less I fear someone coming in and diluting who I actually am. The more I know myself, I think the better match of a person I'll find, the less bullshit I'll put up with, the more in tune with myself I'll be. Like, whether it be hobbies, whether it be love, whether it be books I like to read, like, everything will line up the more you get to know yourself. And I think the earlier that you are with someone and you stick with someone, your personalities just mesh together. Like, it's harder to individualize when it's a constant we. It's a constant me and him or her and I.
100%. I mean, I think I relate to that in so many different ways, because I think about, I rarely went on dates from 23 when I moved out to LA till 28. COVID hit, and I was like, this is a great time for me to start dating. And it didn't work out. COVID hit, and it was like the whole world shut down. And I was like, yeah, buddy, you picked the absolute worst time to get into dating. But hey, it is what it is. But I think about it all the time, because when people talk about like long relationships, I'm like, I can't really relate. I didn't have this 4-year relationship that I got out of. I never lived with a girlfriend, you know, all these different things. There's different experiences I haven't had yet, right? But what I have had is a large period of time where I really got to know myself, where I really figured out what makes Mark happy. What do I want out of this life? What makes me genuinely excited? What makes me sad? What makes me upset? I learned so much about myself. And so at the same time, I also learned exactly what I'm looking for. Where are the certain aspects of my life that I am lacking? Is there a certain thing that I need somebody to help me with? Is there is there a certain type of personality that complements me the best? You know, is there something that, like, who am I and what am I all about? And what do I need in order to be the best version of myself? And so I think at 31, almost 32 in October, it's like I am who I am at this point, right? Like I am so confident with who I am. I'm so confident with what I'm looking for. I'm so confident with what I bring to the table and what I don't bring to the table. I'm so confident in knowing exactly what I'm looking for that I'm not going to waste my time or waste anybody else's time. And so I think about that and I go, yeah, am I, almost 32 and still single? Yes. Do I get annoyed when people ask me, hey, are you dating anybody? Are you talking to anybody? Yes, I hate those questions. I despise those questions. I'm like, listen, when there's anybody worth telling you about, I'll tell you about them. But in the meantime, I'm happy. And there's nothing wrong with me being single. I am happy. And that is the biggest thing. And when I start dating somebody, I will still remain happy because I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know exactly who's going to add to my happiness. And I know exactly what's not going to. And so, yes, I'm single, but I know myself better than I think most people do. And so that's the way I look at it. And I, again, going back to the whole like universe thing, I feel like, again, when you do the self-work, which is all I've had time to do, is do the self-work, then I also feel like that's me then putting out the best version of myself into the world. And so I feel like I receive back better quality people in return. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like when you've done the self-work, then the vibe that you put out attracts the right people versus if you are still a broken person or a person that has a lot of self-work to do, then you are going to attract the wrong people. You're going to attract the people who want to manipulate you, who want to take advantage of you, everything like that, because again, you're not putting out the right energy your own self. So work on yourself. Be the best version that you possibly can be. We're never perfect, right? We're always working on ourselves. But the more you continue to work on yourselves, the better energy you put out there. And I think the better people that you get sent your way in return.
Also, the pool of dating has changed. So like going from finding a relationship in college and it being a pool of fraternity boys to now being almost 30, early 30s, moving into a big city, the pool is now, dated everything from music agents to divorcees to Peter Pan boys. So like every time I kind of have a mini relationship, I'm like, okay, noted. And I'll like remake the list of what I'm looking for in a man. Cause I'm like, okay, well clearly I just attracted that person and that's what's being reflected in me. That's my energy. And that's what my energy attracted that person. So let's go back to the drawing board and make a new list. And I actually find that every time I make a more specific list, I will get it. And lately I feel like I've had really intense creative types. So I've added like humor and lightheartedness and just general easygoing to the list. But the redoing of your expectations and then also not being in victimhood of like, well, the pool is just terrible. It's like, okay, well, you are attracting what's coming back to you. So the whole karma thing, it's like, okay, well, where do you need to be more lighthearted or where do you need to lean into creativity? Your life is always speaking to you. I'm absolutely a firm believer in that.
Well, and I'll also state this too, and then I want to hear honest thoughts on this, is that when people talk about the dating pool and they go, oh my God, there's just no good options out there, right? I'm like, well, stop entertaining the bad options. You don't have to give anybody your time. So if you're on a dating app or if you're out in public or wherever you're attracting people and things like that, you don't have to give anybody your time. So to be fair, every time I feel like I meet a quote unquote bad option, I'm like, all right, I just became one step closer to figuring out who is the good option because now I know you're not it. So cool. Now I can move on to the next thing and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, it's like once I know you're not a good option, cool, I just move on to the next. Like it is what it is. It's not that deep. And so I think that's the biggest thing that people have to like keep in mind is that if you're looking at the dating pool and you're like, there's just not a lot of great options. It's like, again, at the end of the day, you're looking for one. You just need one. Like you don't need 1,000. Mm-hmm. You just need one incredible option. And those options are out there for you. But every time you give energy or time to the wrong ones, then you are hurting your chances of finding the right one. So stop giving your time to the wrong ones and stop trying to persuade yourself or make yourself believe that the wrong one is actually the right one. The moment you feel like you're finding yourself making a ton of excuses, all those sort of things, if your friends hate the guy, I don't know, maybe there's something there. Maybe you got to start paying attention to that. Maybe you got to up your own standards. Stop comparing to them to an ex. Compare them to a standard in which you are willing to accept. And every time you come across a bad option, wipe them away and move on to the next. Thoughts?
I totally agree.
As someone who has a good option.
I feel like dating finally worked for me when I took the element of need out. I felt like I had this like underlying driving force of you need to get married, you need to have kids, you need to have a partner to build your life, because I was so fearful to build it on my own, because then I thought I would have to almost undo it. Mm-hmm. It was like there was no point in building my life, because as soon as I meet the partner that wants to be with me, I'm going to have to do what he wants to do. So what's the point in putting effort in this? It didn't even occur to me that we could enmesh our lives in a healthy way. that never even occurred to me. So when I took the element of need and actually the element of want out of dating, I was not looking. It was the opposite. I was bordering on hating men, and I was fully myself, fully gross, humorous, quirky. And then I just stumbled upon, the love. I'm going to say the love of my life, but I hate that phrase. But he is my biggest love that I've ever experienced, and the most pure and genuine. So I feel as if he is, no matter if it's, we date for another year or 10 years, it doesn't matter. It's still, a big love. So I think that as soon as I took elements of need and want out, I was able to just be totally me, without any sort of manipulative, because I think manipulation often gets a negative connotation to it. I think it's like people think you're doing it for bad, but I think you can manipulate to be more lovable. And I think that we often manipulate people to love us and pick us. And I just didn't care if I was going to get picked. I couldn't have cared less. You either wanted me or you didn't. And it was so natural. It was so great.
That's actually the secret to getting what you want, is detaching from it. Acting like you already have it, not needing it, not even wanting it, not looking for it, and then it finds you. You don't chase, you attract. And I don't think there's anything, I don't believe in right person, wrong time. Timing is everything.
Hell no, I agree.
Timing is everything. I am curious though, like, have you guys heard the 3 big loves? Like, you'll have 3 loves in your life, where it's like the first one is like the pure, innocent, like maybe high school love, like your first love. The second one is the super high highs, low lows, extremes. It does damage. It also teaches you a ton of things about yourself. Ultimately doesn't work out. And then the third one is like the one you never saw coming, which I would assume is what you're talking about. Never saw coming, but it's the most stable. And then it just happens, and that's it. And I think I've crossed 2 off, waiting for that third, but that detachment portion is absolutely the key to attracting it in.
I've crossed 2 off a few times. I'm like, we got it. 2 is done.
You've been learning, Mark.
Yeah, we're good on that. We're good on
steady
that.
learning.
Yeah, steady learning. And I wanted to go back to one of the earlier comments Anna made, because I think that's interesting, and then I want to give a point on that. I think Anna, you talked about manipulating yourself to like attract the right love, right? And to make yourself more attractive to other people and things like that. The way I look at it is like, man, just be you, because everybody's eventually going to figure out who you are. So don't put on a fake face. Don't have that, like, when somebody's got that fake laugh going and they're laughing at dumb shit that's really not that funny, but they're pretending it's funny. Or, somebody says something that you strongly disagree with and you're like, you know what? I've only known them for a week. I'm not really going to like dive too deep into this. No, to me, I'm like, man, from day one, just treat everybody like you've known them for 20 years. And just from day one, be as real and as authentic as you possibly can be. If somebody says something that pisses you off, say it. If they do something you don't like, say it. Like, just be you from day one, because if you is not good enough for them, or not the right personality click with them, or you guys just don't mesh in some capacity, you might as well figure that out sooner rather than later. And I think so many people are like, you know what? I'm going to change who I am to try to attract the most amount of people possible. It's like, no, that's not the case. For me, NFL Sundays, 7 a.m. I'm waking up until 10 a.m. I'm doing research on football. I'm not changing that from day one. If I'm dating a girl, she comes over, she stays over Saturday night, Sunday morning, I wake up, NFL, I want you to see the real version of me. You're going to see me cracked out rooting for the Detroit Lions, going, yelling
Your stupid robe.
Yeah, wearing my robe, wearing my Lions chain, yelling at the TV. I want you to see the real me. If you're like, this guy's a loser, I can't believe he's doing that, then you're probably not right for me, because I'm going to be doing that when I'm 60. So I just think, again, at the end of the day, don't change yourself to attract some different type of person. Just be you. And at the end of the day, if that's not right for somebody, you'd rather figure that out sooner rather than later. in terms of what you were talking about earlier, of the 3 different types of people that you date and things like that, I could not agree more. I think there is that young, innocent love when you're younger and things like that. Then you have that second love that's kind of tumultuous and super volatile and everything like that. And then I think the third is the one where you like you've given up basically, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna be me, and I'm just gonna focus on me, and it just comes up naturally. And I think that's the part that people have to look forward to, is knowing that that will happen the moment you stop trying so hard to find the right one. The right one will just kind of find you
when you are the right one.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. I'll never forget talking to that tarot card reader, and she told me exactly what you just said, is that I have 3 loves in my life, and the third one would happen so naturally that I didn't even realize it was happening, and that we would ultimately meet. It would be instant. There would be a chemistry that felt more like, there you are, I've known you forever, more than like necessarily like a sexy spark. It would just feel like this acknowledgement of like, oh, this person is just safe. They're home. And they would become a friend. And then the next thing we know, we've spent 40, 50, 60 years together, and we're still sitting on the couch loving life. And it's all so seamless. And she was like, I don't see any big issues for you two. It's so compatible. It's so easy that you just would be stupid to pass it up. And that's exactly how I would describe the relationship that I'm now in. Is it's just so easy and seamless and not even too good to be true, but just very right for me.
That sounds like the healthiest relationship one could ever have, when it's just comfortable and you don't have to put on a show. Mm-hmm. You're not a watered down version of yourself to make the other person more comfortable. I feel like in all my past relationships, they've been the glitter and I've been the glue to keep them together. And I really like you need to be able to vacillate between one and the other. Sometimes you're the glitter, sometimes I'm the glue, vice versa. But when you're permanently in those positions, there's no winning. You need to be the glitter glue together. But I always have to be like, am I the one keeping this together? Am I the reason why this is healthy? If I'm feeling like I'm overexerting myself or bending over backwards, or some part of me is being diluted or not celebrated, then it's not for me. Period.
I got a question for you both, because I think you guys can give a better answer on this than I can. I feel like there's a lot of people also who date based off the idea of what that life would look like with that person. And so whether it be, you live in Nashville, Anna lives in San Diego, I live in LA. There's a lot of people in these cities who are incredibly successful, right? And so they've got the really nice house, they've got the really nice car, they've got the really cool job. Maybe they're, famous in some capacity. Maybe they are a professional athlete or a music artist or a actor or, some serial entrepreneur, something like that. All these like really successful people and, seemingly really happy people in some capacities and things like that. And I think there's certain times that people glorify the idea of what it would be like to date that person, what it would be like to be married to that person. Oh, think about the places that we could travel. Think about the house that we could have. Think about the, different things that I could buy, the purse I could own, I'll never have to worry about money again. I'll never have to worry about this again. And I think people then end up, kind of glorifying different people, not even based off what that person shows them, but based off the idea of that person. Is that something that you guys see often? Is that something you've even experienced yourself in terms of, a guy that you've kind of glorified in a way of like, hey, it could be, I wonder what my life would be like if I was married to him. I bet it'd be amazing. And then therefore you almost end up like giving them a pass on certain things that they do that maybe in the past you wouldn't have, but in this instance you end up almost wanting that life, so you're willing to overlook certain things. Is that something you guys relate to, something you can understand? Give me your thoughts.
Definitely in Nashville, it's a very small town has a lot of, music industry people. The reason Little Big Town is called the band Little Big Town is because it's very small and it's very connected. But I didn't know until Nashville really what it was like to see fame on an everyday basis, to be around people who have this following and these massive careers and reputation and identity. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen some people, not fall into stardom, but kind of kickstart their careers and it really work for them, and it not get to their head in a way where, their ego is trumping everything, and they're actually using it to their advantage and helping elevate other people, other platforms, and like doing good and seeming like that's really a healthy channel for them, and it's propelling them forward and the others around them. And I've also seen people attain a level of fame and try to chase the high that they get on stage, and they can't recreate it off stage, and then they just become a shell of themselves. And I think the question of that I would struggle with, I don't have to deal with this, but I would struggle with personally is, if I have everyone at my beck and call right now, if all of this evaporated tomorrow, who would still be by my side? And so I think it's really important to appreciate the people without the fame and not get caught up in the idea, and you really actually love them and try to get to know who they are as a person without all of that glitz and glamour and followers and blue check marks. But at the same time, I think it would be hard to be in that position. I think it'd be so hard to date someone of fame with a ton of followers and knowing that, you know, bras are getting thrown on stage and DMs of all these hundreds of girls and all of the options, and not getting caught up in comparison and trying to keep up. You'll never get there. It's an insatiable thirst for being known and admired, but you're not really understood. So there's no fulfillment in that. But I think also on the opposite side of being that person, I feel like would be incredibly lonely. I know some people that are really down to earth and are utilize it for good and don't get caught up in it. But I know some people also who it's harder to deal with, and it's harder to watch too. But I also think too, once you reach a certain level of fame, whatever age that is, I feel like your brain kind of stunts a little bit. And so, you know, child actors like Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears, all the kind of Lindsay Lohan, all the kind of crazy media incidents you see. I just think fame is really tricky and a really crazy line that you have to be so self-aware, and you have to constantly be checking yourself. You have to constantly be holding others accountable. I mean, it's tricky. I mean, what do you think without living in LA?
I mean, I think Anna would be able to give a better example, because to be fair, I don't think guys can completely relate to this, because a lot of this is like money and fame. And to be fair, you can DM Ariana Grande as many times as you want. You're not going to get a response from her. But, you know, you ladies, if you DM some professional athlete, you probably are likely to get a response, because they're checking all their DMs constantly, and they're talking, so it's a little bit different, I think, for women. So Anna, what's your answer on that?
I think that's very fair. I think young me, like 19, 20, 21-year-old me, thought it was really cool when a celebrity would hit on me. Now, famous men scare the shit out of me. Yeah. And that applies to rich men as well. I don't want them near me. So I don't think that really applies. And when it comes to other people, obviously, I see that constantly. I think like, oh, they've been on a show, or, it's almost like famous by association. But I don't understand that, because I've actually given this a lot of thought. I just don't understand why people want to be famous. I think that in general, the cycle in which it's very cyclical. It goes from we build one individual up to almost untouchable heights. And then it's really fun to tear them down. We want to see someone rise, and we really want to see someone fall. And I'm not a Swiftie, so like I don't know anything of why this happened. But, I remember people hating Taylor Swift a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden she's being worshipped as if she's, a godly figure. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't be. She's talented. She seems great. But the whole point but what happened? Like we loved her, we hated her, we love her again. I would develop such trust issues with myself, the people around me. When is it going to end? People enjoy building you up, but they really enjoy tearing you down. And I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be in proximity of that. That scares me. And I think that I know that this is very double standard as someone that makes, has a relatively large following. I don't want to date a man with a large following. Mm-mm. That scares me.
I actually prefer that they don't have an Instagram.
That's the hottest thing in the world. Yeah. Have an Instagram account and they don't use it. Sexy. Mm-hmm. But I would assume you would think that I would want to be famous based off of the things that I do. But fame has always been something that scares me. And it's something that, God, this sounds like it's not supposed to be egotistical. It's something I've kept a close watch on. I don't want to go on a TV show. I don't want to do anything that will elevate my life past a point of just normalcy being stripped from you. I think the privacy, I think that public scrutiny reaches an inhumane level when you are famous, and people always claim that you deserve it because you reap the benefits of that fame. So you asked for it. I don't believe that that is true. I don't think anyone asked to be put on a pedestal and then be pointed out everything that they have wrong with them in that person's eyes. So I know I'm rambling. I just don't get fame. I don't want to get near it. I want to have a platform that can help people. I want to make people feel, safe and like they're not alone. But I don't want to get to a point where I can't leave my grocery store and have people tell me that I gained 15 pounds and so-and-so's cheating on me. And, there's a scandal every week.
Oh, yeah. And I find too, when my friends who give me sympathy for still being single are like, you should go on The Bachelorette. I'm like, I swear to God, if anyone submits me for that show, we will have issues. That is the last place I could find love. I'm not trying to get an Instagram sponsorship for some tea or some, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I would actually rather go on the Golden Bachelor than I would on the regular Bachelor. Like, give me a silver fox. But like, I want maturity. I do not want to get off The Bachelorette and then go on, what is it, to Love Island or all
Bachelor in Paradise.
Bachelor in Paradise, all the sub reality shows. Like, I don't want that. It's not real. I wouldn't even be competitive with the girls next to me. I'd be like, oh my God, you guys actually seem like a really good match. Or like, you look so great tonight.
Totally.
Or like, let me read your chart. Like, the stars are in your favor.
You'd be everyone's favorite.
I think the people who have honestly the best level of fame are like the C-listers, the ones that like, hey,
yeah.
Honestly, like the who really I think has it the best, the like YouTube moms, the ones who are just making content where they're like, here's me with my family, here's me with my child. I'm like, let me show you this like new stroller that we got or whatever. Like that lady can probably go to every like restaurant, whatever. She can travel. She's going to get random moms every once in a while that come up to her and are like, hey, I love your content, whatever. But they're all going to be respectful. There's not going to be like, you know what I mean? It's like that level of fame to me is like the top tier of what you'd ever really want. And then I would say the people who get famous really quick, never wish that upon anybody, because you didn't even have a sense to like curate, I guess, like who you are to your people. Like, I do understand, like, if our podcast does really well, there's a level of fame that comes alongside that, right? But we're also able to curate the type of conversations. And so the, like, what people know about us is also about like the content we create. So we have more control over that, right? I think when people strike it famous from like a viral video or from going on a reality TV show or whatever, you didn't really curate what people think of you in that moment then. It was such a blip in the radar, and now all of a sudden everybody has these super pointed views of you and everything like that. And I think so if you ever develop any level of fame, I'm like, man, do it in a way where it's like super organic, it's slow and steady, and then, it's not where it's like mass fame where, like, again, you can't go to the grocery store, you can't walk out in public anywhere. That sucks. I don't wish that upon anybody. That's truly the damn worst. Again, I'd rather just be a YouTube mom before I'd rather be like Drake.
I'd pull the Hannah Montana route and go with a wig on anytime I'm like doing the fame bit, and then take it off and no one recognizes me.
100%.
That's smart. That's really smart. We can get into the YouTube moms another time, but I have a take on that I don't think is very positive. I think there is a lot of shit behind closed doors. I think there's a lot of drama there that we can get into about. It's not healthy.
Yeah. No. I mean the ones who are healthy and positive. There are the ones every once in a while you see a Netflix documentary, you see an article that pops out.
Yeah.
Not all of them are as great behind the scenes as they are on camera. But honestly, even the people who make like the cleaning videos on YouTube who just randomly those go viral. You know what I mean? Like, it's the people that
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
that level of fame is ideal.
Yeah, the wholesome content. So
okay, so I'm secretly so terrified about taking this too long, because what if because I'm the one that's in charge of saving this file, and I'm having really bad anxiety about that. I want to make sure that we like stick to a certain thing, because if this fails, I'll jump off the roof.
Yeah, that's fair. We don't. Yes. Yeah. So we can. We
don't want that.
Yeah. Here's what we'll do. We'll wrap this up. We'll have to have Bridget back on the podcast anyway, because Anna, we got to do it when you're in LA. We had there were some,
totally,
without getting into details, Anna had some things pop up, some good things pop up too.
Great things.
And
really good things. Yeah, really good things.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we had to do a remote episode, but this went as great as I think a remote episode could possibly go. So yeah.
I have an idea. We should go to Nashville. I have been wanting to go to Nashville again. We should go for spring. So if you are around in like April, May or something, I would absolutely love to fly out, and we can do an episode out there.
Come on.
Let's do it.
Cordially invited.
I think that'd be so fun. Because I need to know, because this will drive me crazy. Can you guess what my sign is?
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Ooh.
Or give me like a top two, like two signs, like this or a this.
Okay.
Put less pressure
I think
on
I'm
it.
gonna guess your sun sign first. I think I'm gonna go with Taurus. And the reason I'm thinking Taurus is because
Wait, did you just say Taurus?
Yeah.
Oh my God, May 11. Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You are so good.
Wait. Okay.
Uh-oh.
You did say that your rising was Gemini, right?
No. I was giving an example. I'm not Gemini in
okay.
any of my chart.
I was like, because I don't really see that.
No.
Okay.
If you nail all three of these, I think I might run out of this apartment screaming and yelling.
I'm just going to Venmo you $1,000 if you get this right. Actually, no, I won't, because you're going to get it right.
I'm going to guess your moon really quickly, which is hard, and I'm really not sure if I'm going to get it, but I'm trying to do.
Okay. Do you want me to give you like a hint on like what type it is? Like Earth, Wind, not Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Sun. Great band.
You can. Yeah. Okay. Give me
Earth.
Is your moon?
Moon is an Earth. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a sun in Earth and a moon in Earth. I was going to guess your moon was Libra, but I think... Oh, Capricorn.
Virgo.
Okay, well, I'm a Virgo, so amazing. Do you have any Capricorn in your
always
chart?
Virgos. I think I have a little bit, but my rising is the one that I think is really loud when you meet me. Isn't it normally like Virgo the mask? I think that like it's really
Virgo's
obvious.
The perfectionist. She is the
That's very true.
That's definitely
she's the
Anna.
caretaker.
Yeah. No.
Okay, you have
100%.
to send me your birth time after this.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
My rising is Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
This
want to
tracks.
stay in one place. I'm like travel, wanderlust, don't cage me.
Yeah. No sense of freedom. It means you're also super funny, like witty, quick.
Thank you.
There we go.
Don't want to
She
be
is.
tied down.
I really want to know why you think I'm a Taurus. Can you tell me really quick why you think I'm a Taurus? I'm obsessed with this.
Okay, I think you're headstrong, but I think you're very level-headed too. You've got easy, grounded energy. A Taurus is like they like luxury in the sense of like home and good food, and they just bring to me a certain energy, but also a little bit stubborn, but in a kind, approachable, friendly way. I love earth energy, but I'm biased because I'm too earth.
Because my taste is kind of trash. Like I'm the person that's gonna like, I could eat dollar menu and Jack Daniels for the rest of my life.
That,
but I like a cozy home. I do like nice experiences, but I'm not like bougie at all.
Yeah, bougie that'd be different. Taurus is like comfort. I'm saying comfort food, comfort home. Kind of curating a comfortable lifestyle, but also being headstrong and level-headed, and like you're not afraid to disagree with somebody. There's so many other things too. What's your boyfriend? Just out of curiosity.
He's a Virgo. Everyone's always a Virgo in my life.
A Virgo
I swear.
man. Love it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna have to.
And we're as compatible as it gets. I want to send you as soon as we're off of this. I'm going to text you everything about my birth situation, and I really want you to do a chart, please.
Okay, perfect. And then I have an app to recommend you, which will be like reading a book about yourself.
She's going to send you a video of the birth, too, in case there's anything you pick up from that. It's very graphic, but, it is what it is.
I love that.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, hey, we accomplished I think we did at least, the remote podcast episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up before we mess anything up. But, Bridget, appreciate you coming on. We will definitely make it out to Nashville. Yeah. And, happy early 30th, because by the time this comes out, you will already be 30. So happy 30th birthday.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
what day is it exactly?
August 23rd. First day of Virgo.
That's really soon. Okay. Very excited for you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I can't wait to come out to Nashville. It's one of my favorite places ever.
Y'all are so welcome anytime.
There we go.
Get your boots.
Boots are made for walking.
I already got my boots. I already got my hat. I'm ready. I'm a wannabe cowgirl. I got it all.
There we go. Well, Anna, appreciate you, tuning in from where are you right now?
Sonoma, California, baby, my hometown.
There we go. Go have a glass of wine, and we'll wrap this up. I got to catch this flight, so we all got shit to do. So with that, thank you again, Bridget, for coming on. Thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll chat with you guys later. See you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.